Saluton from BA. This is the Rorschach Multilateral Update from the 18th of March 2025, a summary of what's going down in the world's major multilateral institutions. The first story of this episode is about the Philippines and the International Criminal Court, or ICC. On Friday the 14th, Rodrigo Duterte, the country's former president, made a video appearance at an ICC hearing about the drug war he led. The session focused on whether the ICC should continue investigating alleged human rights abuses under his administration. Duterte was recently arrested over his handling of the drug war, which may have killed as many as 30,000 people. The ICC is looking into the deaths tied to his anti-drug campaign. Even though it is not common for a former country leader to be arrested and for criminal proceedings to be brought against them at the ICC, there is still precedent. For example, the former Sudanese President Bashir was indicted for war crimes, crimes against humanity, and genocide in Darfur through the ICC. In defense news, on Thursday the 13th, President Trump and NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte had a meeting at the White House. They talked about the ongoing conflict in Ukraine and explored strategies to strengthen NATO's defense capabilities. Rutte praised Trump's efforts to significantly boost military spending among NATO members, noting that this increase has fortified the alliance. Trump emphasized the need to maintain a robust NATO to effectively address current global security challenges. Trump has had a rocky relationship with the NATO alliance, and he has insulted its leaders, questioned its importance, and pressured the other member countries to spend more on collective defense. Some of Trump's allies have even urged the U.S. to leave the alliance altogether, worrying some other NATO leaders. The World Health Organization announced on Thursday the 13th that measles cases in Europe and Central Asia doubled in 2023, hitting the highest number since 1997. Almost 60,000 cases were reported, a big jump from around 30,000 the year before. The increase is linked to declining vaccination rates, which dropped during the pandemic. Health officials warned that outbreaks could spread further if immunization efforts don't improve. Measles is a highly contagious disease and can lead to serious complications, making widespread vaccination key to preventing future spikes. Next up, on Friday the 14th, the UN marked the International Day to Combat Islamophobia, highlighting the rise in discrimination against Muslims worldwide. Antonio Guterres, the UN Secretary General, warned that anti-Muslim hate speech and attacks are increasing, fueled by misinformation and stereotypes. He called for stronger efforts to promote tolerance and protect human rights. The event also emphasized the need for governments to address discrimination through education and policy changes. Islamophobia is a serious issue that manifests in many ways, including employment, discrimination, and violence. A 2023 report by the United Nations found that over two-thirds of all Muslims have experienced discrimination due to their faith. On Wednesday the 12th, Britain warned Iran that if it doesn't comply with international agreements, it will impose more sanctions through the United Nations. The move comes as the UN Security Council met to discuss Iran's nuclear activities. The UK expressed concerns over Iran's failure to meet commitments under the 2015 nuclear deal and said that stronger action is needed. The ongoing tensions have raised fears about the potential for further instability in the region. Britain and other nations are calling for Iran to return to the negotiation table to avoid worsening relations. Moving south, on Tuesday the 11th, the Economic Community of West African States, or ECOWAS, activated its standby force to tackle terrorism in West Africa. The move comes as security challenges, especially from extremist groups, have escalated in the region. Additionally, trans-border crimes, including arms smuggling, human trafficking, and organized criminal activities, have weakened regional stability and economic progress. The force aims to assist member states facing terrorist threats and support peacekeeping efforts. This activation is a response to increasing instability, with several countries in the Sahel and Lake Chad regions struggling to contain armed groups. That's why there is an urgent need for a coordinated military response. ECOWAS is focusing on strengthening regional security cooperation and ensuring a coordinated effort to combat terrorism. Also in Africa, on Thursday the 13th, newly elected leaders of the African Union, or AU, officially took office. Mahamoud Ali Yusuf, the new chairperson, emphasized his commitment to addressing the AU's challenges and elevating Africa's global standing. Yusuf specifically highlighted the need to swiftly advance new plans to fulfill the aspirations of the African people. He also stressed the importance of achieving financial independence for the AU by reducing reliance on external funding through innovative financing strategies. Furthermore, he underscored the need to boost cooperation among AU institutions and expedite institutional reforms to overcome structural and administrative challenges. In diplomatic news, on Sunday the 16th, the Financial Times reported that Chinese President Xi declined an invitation from the European Union to attend a summit marking the 20th anniversary of EU-China relations. The move comes amid ongoing tensions between China and the EU over various issues, including trade, human rights, and geopolitical concerns. While Xi's decision not to attend reflects the strained relations, it highlights the challenges both sides face in maintaining a cooperative partnership. A Politics publication published an article on Wednesday the 11th outlining how employees at the UN's Food and Agricultural Organization, or FAO, said that President Trump's freeze on hundreds of millions of dollars in aid has caused major disruptions to support projects in areas that are experiencing extreme hardship, like Afghanistan and the Horn of Africa. They reported that staff reductions and halted projects are expected to worsen food insecurity in regions already struggling with conflict, climate change, and instability. FAO field offices are suspending programs and delaying key initiatives. This freeze, part of a larger aid cut through USAID and the State Department, could leave millions more dependent on emergency food aid, further escalating hunger crisis. For context, the Trump administration has significantly reduced American foreign aid, including a reduction in the work phase of USAID and the organization's budget. Critics warn that these cuts could severely impact international health programs, potentially leading to shortages in health treatments and hunger initiatives. In another note, the Organization for Petroleum Exporting Countries, or OPEC, reported on Wednesday the 12th a rise in its oil output, largely due to increased production in Kazakhstan. The organization stated that despite this uptick, global oil demand remains steady. OPEC also maintained its outlook for strong demand growth in the coming years. Kazakhstan's boost in production is part of the country's efforts to capitalize on higher oil prices, contributing to the overall increase in the group's output. In updates from Eastern Europe, on Tuesday the 11th, the Secretary General of the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe, or OSCE, met with Russia's foreign minister in Moscow. During the meeting, the Secretary General emphasized that Russia is a partner in maintaining stability and security across Europe, despite the country's brutal war in Ukraine, which has been going on over 3 years. Both sides discussed ongoing challenges and reaffirmed their commitment to dialogue within the OSCE. Wrapping up this edition, on Thursday the 12th, Canada filed a complaint with the World Trade Organization regarding the U.S. tariffs on Canadian metals. The complaint challenges the legality of the duty, which Canada argues violates global trade rules. The dispute centers around tariffs on steel and aluminium, with the U.S. calling them national security measures. Canada says these measures unfairly target its exports and harm the economy. The move signals a renewed push for trade fairness and seeks resolution through international legal channels. And that's it for this week. Thank you for joining us. Did you know that you can send an episode as an MP3 file? You can download it directly from our website, www.rorschach.com/multilateral. The link's also in the show notes. See you next week!